Hi, I'm Peter Sherris, past president of the Rotary Club of Oakland. In collaboration with the Guatemala del Este Club, we are carrying out an exciting economic development and climate change project. And I'd like to turn it over to Andrew and Michael from Voces y Manos, our implementing partners, to tell you about it.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be. We're so thrilled to have the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about a global grant that we in Voces y Manos have created, which is called Strengthening Food Security Through Youth Leadership, a Rotary Global Grant project with Voces y Manos. So first, a little bit about our organization. Voces y Manos' mission is to empower youth to transform their communities. And we do this in partnership with the community of Rabinal Baja Verapaz. We have a staff of 3 people who work in the community of Rabinal, which is in the central northern highlands of Guatemala. And we also have a staff in the US consisting entirely of volunteers. My name is Michael Bacall, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by our monitoring and evaluation director, Andrew Carmona, who you'll meet in just a few minutes. The community of Rabinal is home to the Maya Achí, who have lived in the area for thousands of years. And it's an amazing place where people continue to practice their Mayan cultural traditions and speak the Mayan language. And as we'll talk about, these traditions have just offer an incredible amount of richness when it comes to preserving the natural world and using sustainable agricultural practices. But in recent years, the community of Rabinal has been under serious threat from prolonged droughts that are due to climate change. So Rabinal finds itself in the middle of the red region that you see on this map, which is known as the dry corridor. And this is one of the 10 areas in the entire world that has been identified as one of the regions that is most vulnerable to the consequences of climate change. And so what this means is that the area is seeing unprecedented long periods of drought. And when it does rain, they see sort of torrential downpours. So, what does this mean in the life of an average farmer? Well, most people in Rabinal, like most people throughout Guatemala, rely primarily on corn as their subsistence crop. And corn can handle up to a week or two of no rain, but in recent years, Rabinal has seen droughts lasting 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And when that happens, the corn crop dies. And in fact, in 4 of the past 5 years, farmers have lost a majority of their corn crop, like you see in this picture. The solution that we're working to implement in partnership with Oakland Rotary Club, and we hope in partnership with many more Rotary clubs throughout California, is a community driven development approach led by youth. And what we mean by community driven development is that we are rooting our solution in the practices and the strengths that the community already has. So, youth will take a strong leadership role in this project. We have several young adults who are employed through this project to actually work to promote sustainable agricultural practices in their communities. And also, as you see in this picture, women's leadership is a core component of this work. Specifically, the project has several major components. The first key component is crop diversification and water management. We know that in conditions of drought, it's incredibly important to use the natural resources as well as possible. And by diversifying crops, by rotating crops, and by managing scarce water resources through systems like gray water, water capture, and drip irrigation, scarce water resources can be used efficiently in order to allow communities to maximize the land that they have. The second component, which is absolutely crucial, is improved soil. We know that dead, dry soil tends to be very vulnerable to runoff. It does not retain water very well, but living, fertile soil is actually able to hold on to significantly more water. And so this project improves soil quality through a variety of practices, including organic composting and creating contour barriers, like you see in this picture, to prevent runoff of nutrient rich topsoil. The third component is extremely important, which is youth and women's empowerment. So in each of the 5 or 6 communities where we will be working, there will be a committee of youth and a separate committee of women who will lead the majority of this project's activities. We should also say that in total, this project reaches 50 families in 5 different communities, or a total of 250 families. I'll now turn it to Andrew Carmona to discuss monitoring and evaluation.
Thank you, Michael. It's extremely important that we at Voces y Manos monitor and evaluate our work, not just to show you, the donors, and others who are potentially to be donors and give money to our project that we're doing good work, but for us to understand internally what's working and not working. So to that extent, what we're looking at over the 3 years of this project is a few long-term outcomes. One is resilience to climate change. Michael talked a little bit about what crops are being implemented, diversity in crops, crop diversification, also different crop management techniques such as drip irrigation, gray water capture. We're also looking at food security, specifically nutrition and hunger. So to what extent are people eating different and more crops, and their levels of hunger as well. And lastly, we are also looking at improved income over time. We will be looking at the knowledge of different farmers in terms of implementing some of these techniques, and also a measure that which we call community cohesion, which looks at the health of the community as well.
Finally, I want to conclude with the phrase that we have seen become sort of one of the great lessons of the pandemic, is that we are not all in the same we're not all in the same boat, but we are in the same storm. So throughout the world, we are finding ourselves realizing that we are increasingly interconnected, although those who are on the front lines of the crisis, whether it is the global pandemic or whether it is climate change, are particularly vulnerable. And so that's why it's so incumbent upon all of us to stand with those communities who are poised to suffer most from climate change, but also recognizing that those same communities have the solutions that their communities need, and perhaps that our world needs, to be able to respond effectively to this challenge. We are currently beginning the first year of what is a 3-year global grant project. It is supported by the Oakland Rotary Club, and we're hoping that you'll join us. We're hoping that other Rotary clubs will also support us in this effort. The more communities we can reach, the more families we can reach, the more we can do to help people, not only survive the challenges that climate change is going to impose on their lives, but really thrive and make their communities better. Thanks so much.